It's a whole queen with your old mic hand. Would you show me a little black girl magic? Move, hey, it's someone like. I got her on my phone, it's BG.
On today's episode, we will be joined by a special guest.
Teacher, come and teach me something.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Joy Lene. And in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, I decided why not have on a special guest? And I have none other than my good friend Ruth here. She's a teacher. So Ruth, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, what grade level you teach, how long you've been teaching.
All right, so my name is Ruth. All my babies call me Miss Ruth. I'm born and raised right here in Tampa, Florida. I have an early childhood education degree from FAMU, go Rattlers. And I have been teaching for 8 years. I've been teaching a long time, and I've done some preschool level, but I've mostly taught the elementary level.
Wow, 8 years. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. So what made you want to be a teacher?
Oh my goodness. I became a teacher because I started doing Sunday school at church, and I just kind of fell in because there was a need. I was in high school and I started doing that, and I just had so much fun doing that I wanted to transition from just being in a church classroom into being into a teaching classroom. So I decided to become a teacher.
Yes, church. Look at church inspiring you. How old were you for a Sunday school teacher? Was it in high school? Was it in college?
I did it mainly when I was in high school. My father's a minister, so I did it at his church, and then I kind of got away from it when I went away to school, but that was because I was training to become a teacher.
Oh, that's good. So you knew at a younger age what you wanted to do. That's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what's the best part about teaching?
The best part about teaching, I would have to say, is forming a relationship with your students. I think it's really great when you can relate to your students and your students can relate to you, having that special bond. I had a lot of good bonds with some teachers when I was growing up, especially in high school, and some even professors in college. So I definitely like to make sure that I form a relationship with each and every one of my students. I think that's the best part.
Oh, that's good. So how do you foster those relationships? How do you really, take time to get to know them? Because I know the day is filled with, getting through the curriculum. So how do you find that time to foster that relationship with your students?
I find the time, just finding time to talk with my students. What I do like about with the school that I teach at is that we do have certain moments where we have breaks. We have a snack break for 15 minutes throughout the day. So I use that time. I can, sit with my students and have a conversation with them. Hey, how was your weekend? Also during after school time when we're done with our schoolwork for the day, I can kind of sit with them and have a conversation with them. And even, when I tutor my kids, there's sometimes, kids are struggling and I pull them to my desk and, we start tutoring on math, but then, the math lesson turns into, hey, what did you do over your weekend? Or, how's mom, doing with her new job? And, just things like that. So really finding the time, even sitting with them at lunch, just talking with them, having that time where you can just sit and just have a conversation with them. Because just like you said, the schedule is very rigorous and, we try to get through so much during the day. So you have to, definitely take advantage of those few moments that you have with them.
That's really, really good. I'm sure the babies love you. So
Yes, they do.
all this good stuff about, bonding with your students and, you've been loving it from a younger age. So let's have a real moment of honesty. What is the worst part about teaching?
Oh, child, the worst part about teaching. I would have to say the worst part about teaching is dealing with the parents. These are some new age parents. These parents aren't like the parents that we had when we were coming up. So, having to deal with, parents and, if, for example, a child does something, and gets themselves into trouble, and then you go and you tell mom and dad is like, my child would never do that. They think their child is an angel and you're just lying and you don't like my child. And you know, just dealing with, you know, those parents that don't want to believe that, you know, their child did something wrong. That definitely is the worst part. And it makes teaching not fun at all.
Yeah, I've been in the education realm for 8 years myself, and one thing that I've definitely learned about kids, well, two things is that kids will, you know, they will tell a lie and they to get out of trouble with their parents, and a lot of times kids will do things in groups that they normally wouldn't do by themselves.
Very true.
You know, no parent wants to believe that, you know, Charlie is not the angel, you know, because the sun rises and sets with Charlie, and we don't want to believe anything.
Yes.
So, you know, I do sympathize with the parents, and, you know, it can be hard, but I sympathize with the teachers just a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Definitely.
So, dealing with students, and you also mentioned that you have to deal with parents. So, what do you do to take care of yourself to avoid that burnout? And what do you do for self-care?
I really am a homebody, and honestly, there's nothing better to me than just being at home in bed watching TV. I also like to hang out with my son. We like to have movie nights together, so I'll just lay in bed with him and we'll watch movies. And also, retail therapy. I love to shop. Especially shoes and purses are my favorite thing. So there's nothing that can make me feel more better than buying a new pair of shoes or a new purse.
I know that shoes and purse. Come on, speak to my heart. Yes. Yes. Okay, so I have a personal question for you. How do you feel about parents having their child's teacher's number?
Ooh, this is a tough one.
It's on the flip side for you, because not only are you a teacher, but you also have a child as well. So how do you feel about it?
I do. And I think because I have a child, I am okay with it. But I just know for me, because I'm also a teacher, I don't want to take advantage of it. I do like to have the phone number or some way to communicate with the teacher so that I can know how my son is doing, you know, in school, or if I do have a question, you know, about a homework assignment, I like to be able, you know, to reach out to the teacher. But, you know, on the flip side, there are those parents that do have your number and they do take advantage of it, and, you know, they're texting you all types of hours of the day. So it's definitely, you know, a balance, but I am okay with it. For the most part, I haven't had any issues with, you know, parents going too overboard and taking advantage of it. But I do understand as a parent the importance of, you know, having a good relationship with your child's teacher and being able to reach out to them and speak to them, you know, about whatever. And I do like to make myself accessible to my parents because, you know, I do feel like, you know, we are teaching them together. You know, it is a partnership that we have. So it is important that we do, you know, maintain communication.
Yes, that's something you said that was really, really key, is it is a partnership. I really, really like that. That's good. So what's something that you believe that is missing from the school system?
Oh, something that's missing from the school system. Number one, prayer. Bring prayer back in schools. Bring prayer back in schools. One thing that I do say, I love teaching, that I'm teaching in a private school, and I can, you know, if my kids are having a bad day, I can just, hey guys, stop what we're doing. We're just going to have a moment of prayer. But I know in public schools, you know, they're not able to do that. So definitely, number one, bring back prayer. Bring back God in prayer. But the other thing I would say is people in position of power and leadership, you know, the higher ups on the school board, I think it's very important that they have had classroom experience. Because I feel that it's very difficult to implement change if you are not understanding, you know, what the teachers are going through and the concerns that, you know, they're bringing to you. I mean, yes, it is important for you to have that business aspect of it, because that is important. But I do also believe that having that experience in the classroom and knowing the day-to-day of the classroom and dealing with the children and the parents and everything, I think that is important. And, you know, for any change to come about, it is good for you to have that experience so that, you know, you can bring about that change, you know, for the better, not just for the teacher, but for the students, just for the education field in general.
Right. They say experience is the best teacher. So I definitely like that. I like that a lot. All righty. Last question.
Okay.
If you had to give any advice to teacher, whether they're a first-time teacher, whether they've been teaching for 5 years, 15 years, what advice would you give to a fellow teacher?
Okay. Can I give two advice?
Oh, 2 pieces. Sure, the more the better.
First thing, I heard an education friend say this, which I do strive in my classroom, is be friendly with your students, but don't be friends with your my principal, Bay. Yes, and I love that, and I love that that you put it into words. It's something that I already was doing, but I like that you were able to put it into words because like I said previously, it is important for you to have that relationship with your students and for your kids to see you as a human being, and to relate to your students in different ways. And it's okay for you to joke around with your students and things like that. So it is okay to be friendly, but don't become friends with them, because you do want to make sure that you maintain that level of respect. They do need to understand that I am Miss Ruth, I am the teacher that runs this classroom, and you are a student in the classroom. So, yes, we can kind of joke around and be playful and have fun, but there is a level of respect that you should definitely maintain.
So boundaries are important in all levels, all levels.
Yes, definitely. And the other thing that I would say is when it comes to classroom expectations, behaviors, and things like that, another key that I heard said was that you should inspect what you expect. Yes, and what that basically means is that if you are expecting your students to behave a certain way, make sure that you inspect that and that you're on top of them and watching them, that they behave accordingly to the rules that you have in your classroom. If you're expecting your students to do their homework every day, make sure that you're checking that their homework assignments, because if the kids see that you're behind them, inspecting what it is that you have laid out, then more than likely they're going to do it. And definitely, because they don't want to get the consequences that's going to come with it, with not doing their homework and things like that. So they're definitely more prone to do what it is that you want them to do if they know that there's someone behind them watching them to do it.
Say that one more time for me. Say that quote.
Inspect what you expect.
You heard that, folks? Inspect what you expect. Oh, that's wonderful. That's really, really good. Love, love, love it. Love it. Okay, Ruth, you over here dropping gems. Come through years of experience. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot going on. I know that you are working around the clock with all this virtual learning.
Yes.
I just want to say, on behalf of me, the schools, and all the parents everywhere, we appreciate you, because teachers really do shape the children for their future, and they really do have one of the most important jobs in this entire world. So I just want to say thank you. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
So that means you're going to come back?
Yeah, I can come back.
Oh, you hesitated a little bit, but hold me to it. All righty, thank you.
Bye.
Before we finish, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram at pure.joylifestyle.
I just want to take the time to say Happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all my fellow teachers out there, and to all the teacher assistants and those working in the education system. We truly appreciate you. The babies need you. We want to let you know that we see you. You guys are doing God's work. Thanks.